We've got to talk about that Lanterns ending because I have gone back to that scene 10 times now. I keep landing at the exact same place. That is not Hal Jordan's body. That is a Manhunter, and I'm going to tell you why. I know how it sounds. The creators of the show on a podcast have literally said that they have killed Hal Jordan. And honestly, I believe them. But I think there's a stark difference between actually killing Hal Jordan and putting a body that looks like Hal Jordan into the stadium. So today I'm going to go into what everybody's getting half right and then get into the part that everybody's missing so that we can settle this. If you like content like this, please subscribe to Cape Critiquers and give this video a like. Alright, let's get right into this. Jon Stewart returns to Rushville to talk with the sheriff at the exact bleachers that he and Hal sat in when they first started their investigation in 2016. Except this time, Hal Jordan's body is frozen over and he has a bullet wound in his head. Now, the part that a lot of people are kind of going over is that when Jon Stewart brushes the snow off the hand of Hal Jordan, the ring is not there. However, Jon Stewart does not have the ring either. So what does this mean? We were told that the Guardians picked Jon Stewart to be the next Lantern, so it's 10 years now, and Jon Stewart still hasn't touched the ring as it being his own. Now, the theory that everybody's running with so far is Parallax, and I want to be fair to that theory because there's actually a lot of evidence to support it. We see that Hal's ring has a yellow outline, and if you know anything about Green Lantern lore, yellow is the color that green cannot touch for years in Green Lantern lore. And then, of course, we have the scene where Jon is talking to the consciousness upload. That's one of my favorite scenes in this episode, because Jon even points out that this version of Hal from when he was younger, his uploaded consciousness, is significantly nicer and warmer than the current Hal. He isn't seemingly so bad and willing to be morally questionable, using the ring to do things like make $20 bills. And overall, this Hal is confused, and he's not really sure why current Hal hasn't been backing up his consciousness. It seems like it's something he's supposed to do every couple weeks. On top of that, he's also confused why Hal isn't training Jon. Something else that we see with this is that Hal hasn't backed himself up in years at this point. And if it's something so important to this younger version of Hal, why stop doing it all of a sudden? And if you have never read the comics, here's the reason why everybody is jumping to this conclusion so quickly. There's a story in the comics called Emerald Twilight, where Hal's city is destroyed and he just completely snaps. He goes through his own lantern core, he drains the central power battery of its energy, and he turns into the villain Parallax. Hal stays as Parallax for years, and then Jeff Johns comes along and writes Green Lantern Rebirth and completely retcons the whole thing. It turns out that Parallax is just a parasite that's been inside of the battery this entire time, and he's been controlling Hal's head for all this time and manipulating him to be evil, and none of this is actually Hal's fault. So every longtime Green Lantern fan has this story in their back pocket to pull out right now, because the most important Hal Jordan story in the past 20 years is about everybody reading into the character completely wrong. Yes, Parallax tells you why Hal Jordan is like this now, why he's bitter and checked out on being a Lantern, not training Jon. But this doesn't really explain what the body on the bleachers is. Possession doesn't really mean that it's going to leave a corpse. So then, what is it then? The show has actually already told us what that is. It's the Manhunters. I'm pretty certain of this. In the trailers, we have mentioned to the Manhunters being one of the most dangerous beings in the galaxy, that they can take the form of anyone. And also in the first episode, we get the foreshadowing of the scene right before the interrogation where Hal has Jon let the sheriff know that there are currently 14 verified species of alien that can mimic humans perfectly already on Earth. In the DC Comics, the Manhunters story in Millennium ends up being similar to Secret Invasion in the Marvel universe, where the Skrulls are revealed to actually have been living amongst the humans for quite some time. This is the same thing that happens in Millennium, except it's the Manhunters, who have been living amongst normal people and as people that the DC heroes even trust for quite some time. So, yes, I do think that DC is already doing a better Secret Invasion show than Secret Invasion did. In the comics, the Guardians of the Universe built the Manhunters before they built the Green Lantern Corps. This decision went so poorly that the Manhunters actually wiped out and massacred an entire sector of space. So from then on, the Guardians of the Universe just decided to start giving out rings to people. When a lantern dies, the ring goes off to the next of kin, essentially, or the next person that is meant to wear the ring, all by itself. It doesn't have to be taught who that is. It doesn't need to be shown who that is or left in some kind of will. It just goes off and finds the next lantern. According to Tom King on the Companion podcast, the ring is currently with Guy Gardner, but I'm not 100% sure if I trust that. So let's think about what that would mean if it's true. The ring completely passed over its successor to go to somebody else entirely, and the rings just don't do that. I don't think that Hal's ring is actually anywhere else other than with Hal Jordan himself. So now I'm going to try to put this whole thing together to try to make it make sense for everybody. I do think that something like probably Parallax has been possessing Hal for years, and that's why he's gone all kind of crappy and checked out from being a lantern. It explains why John's been training under this version of Hal that is nothing like his consciousness backup. But I think that Hal may have figured this out at some point, and he knows that he has a Manhunter or some kind of alien that can turn into him, following after his entire life and just trying to pretend to be Hal. And I think that Hal took some serious action against this alien. Whatever went down, who or whatever is sitting on those bleachers is not Hal Jordan. I think that he is not really here on purpose, and the ring is missing on purpose, because whatever Hal's planning to do, he knows that he can't do it with the corpse watching over him. What I think Hal might be doing is purposely making it seem like he's died. That way, the Guardians or the corpse can't actually track him while he continues his investigation. What do I think Hal's investigating? Maybe the fact that the Guardians set up the Manhunters and it was a complete catastrophic failure. The fact that the Manhunters wiped out an entire sector of space and then tried to cover it up is a huge deal in the lore of Green Lantern. So I think that there's a chance that Hal is just going off the grid and trying to figure things out for himself without being tied to the ring, in a way that nobody can watch over him or get in his way. I don't think that it would be something like him self-quarantining because he's been possessed by Parallax. I don't think it goes that crazy. I think it does tie back into Green Lantern lore, and I do think that Hal is trying to figure out exactly what happened with the Guardians. I do think there's also something going on with William Mason in this story, the guy that owns the ranch and the private militia. He seems to also be one of the only people that has this alien detecting technology, and I do think that there's a chance that he might have some Black Lantern connections. In the comics, the Black Lantern can reanimate corpses and stuff like that. I'm not 100% certain on how I'm going to connect him to everything yet, but I do think that he will play a part in this larger conspiracy. One of the only things I can think of off the top of my head is that maybe he somehow planted this body for one reason or another, and with the Black Lantern technology or, Black Lantern ring, he's reanimating this to look a certain way. Again, like I said, not 100% sure about that part of my theory, but it is something to note at least. Tell us down in the comments below what you're thinking of the ending of Lanterns Episode 1. What do you think is going to happen next in the show? Do you think Hal is really dead, or do you think that there is some foul play involved here? Like, comment, and subscribe to Cape Critiquers for more videos just like this one, as well as our weekly podcast. We will see you guys in the next one for a full breakdown review of Episode 1 of Lanterns. Episode 1 of Lanterns.